Cloud. Okay, let's get started then. Um, Thank you all for coming. We actually have a really fantastic lineup. Oh, here we go. We have a really fantastic lineup of an all-starred show of above ground press authors featuring Tom Jenks, Sandra Doller, Rob Mclennan, Meredith Quartermain, Brook Houglum, and myself, Orchid Tierney. Each reader will have about 10 minutes on the proverbial stage, and I'm going to post links to the above ground books in the chat as well. But before we get started, a very special shout out must go to the marvelous, the amazing Rob Mclennan, whose contributions, enthusiasms, and support for the literary community really does cross the Anglosphere from England to the or the UK to Canada and of course the United States. And it is truly appreciated. Rob, you mean a lot to this community. I have no idea where you get the energy. It's actually kind of amazing. So please show Rob some love with emojis or in the chat. And on that moment, we're going to get started because of time. Our first reader is Tom Jenks, who is a writer and text artist living in Manchester, UK. His books include The Philosopher Sublunary Editions, Melamine, The Red Ceiling Press, and Pack My Box with 5 Dozen Liquor Jugs from Penteract Press, a panagrammatical novel with Catherine Vidler. He edits the small press Zimzala, specializing in literary objects. You can visit him on his website, which I'll also post into the chat. He is launching his above ground press debut, Chimneys, which came out in May 25. Tom, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, well, as you said, I shall be reading from this, my new pamphlet from Above Ground Press, Chimneys. So it's a selection of prose poems. Just to mute myself. Yeah, so I'll be reading, it's just a selection of these. I won't read them all. They've all got one word titles. I'm just going to go straight through. Before I do that, I just want to add my thanks to Rob for publishing this, for his enthusiasm for the work and for everything, really. So I will start now. So they've all got one word titles. I'll just read the title and the piece and go straight through with these. Smoke. They felled the trees and built a cafeteria. On a given morning, displaced woodland spirits will appear and demand breakfast. Some child-sized crockery is kept under the counter against this eventuality. Need a button to press in a robbery, which will fill the cafeteria with smoke. Urgent. A windfall enabled me to realize my dream of moving to the countryside. I purchased a modest stone dwelling and fitted it out with upcycled furniture and a distressed slate floor. The locals mocked me for my urban affectations, for not knowing the difference between a turnip and a swede, and for my soft, pudgy hands, which indicated I'd never done an honest day's work in my life. I told them they underestimated the demands of white-collar roles. I sat in airless meeting rooms and drank instant coffee. I ate sandwiches with unidentifiable fillings and suffered terrible migraines. Messages arrived day and night, most of which were inconsequential, despite being flagged as urgent. Syrup. I have built a complete and immaculate world, sighed the Baron, resting a white-gloved hand on the green baize table, but I do not have the time to inhabit it. Plum trees in jars, marzipan churches, mountains dusted with the rarest of sugars. No, dear Baron, we must remain in this imperfect version, with its leaning trees and crooked rivers, its damp parks and rickety iron bridges. Dogs roam the lanes and find their way into houses. They sit at the table and help themselves to porridge with spoonful after spoonful of dense golden syrup. glass. The moon was fat as we sat down to breakfast, emptying our bags of things gathered from the hedgerow onto the table. An apple, dull and bruised, a bite taken from it. A pork pie, the hard-boiled egg within it held in quivering jelly. A knot of tagliatelle with pesto dusted here and there with parmesan and cracked black pepper. The town was becoming more cosmopolitan, we reflected. Think of the experimental novelists riding their tiny ponies up and down the precinct, or the mime artists on the roundabout, climbing invisible ladders trapped behind glass. Numerous. Frank is organising the breakfast cereals. He is wearing a red shirt and green dungarees. Sometimes I say to my mother, I wonder if Frank exists, and if he doesn't exist, why we invent him. She is knitting a pullover and has thrown the ball of wool across the room to entangle Frank as he passes on his skateboard, but Frank is wily, having taken an online course in evasive manoeuvres with the Finnish military. The pullover is blue with a big yellow F on the front. Does that stand for Frank? I ask. But she is gone, up the garden perhaps, where the hollyhocks are thick and numerous. Exactly. The Cabbage King wanders into the kitchen and unrolls his map on the breakfast bar. This side of the ditch is mine, he says, indicating a shaded area. Over there belongs to the broccoli guy. Complexities, contingent borders, traditional and hybrid vegetables. The wind blows only from the north. We grew a hedge to baffle it, but still it scatters the blossom. The local gods shamble through the garden, skulking by the chain-link fence. The Cabbage King's tracksuit is ragged. His trainers are streaked with snail slime, and his hand trembles when he eats porridge. Then who are we to judge exactly? Knots. I found the town changed, the quaint shops selling clocks and shoehorns replaced by outlets selling televisions, portable telephones, and varieties of coffee which, different names and pricing structures notwithstanding, appeared identical. I wished I'd stayed in the cabin up the mountain. I made good progress on my novel and ate stewed cherries. I stood in the falling snow, unsure where the universe ended, and I began, a feeling I hadn't had since school, watching heat shimmer on the boiler house roof whilst old Herr Kruger explained nuclear fission, or knots. Gradually, we cycle out to see the horse, sugar sachets in our pockets. You shouldn't give sugar to a horse, our mother says. Their teeth will rot, and it's a devil of a job to get them up the stairs at the dentist. The Aztecs didn't have horses or dogs. Conquistadors came with stallions and wolfhounds and steel instead of volcanic glass. We have names for the horse which we do not share. We are all writing elegies for our fathers, wires in the mist and the barn falling down. No pyramids, no earthly magic. There is really no rush, says the horse. Just let it unfold in dreams very gradually. Bones. I found part of the house I'd never seen, a luxury suite in the style of a Venetian palazzo. Wandering about the place was a ghost who seemed familiar, my cousin perhaps, or her American friend, with whom I had brief but intense correspondence. They were trying to communicate, but I could only guess the content, most likely an opinion about the proposed expressway, which, whilst connecting the old and new towns and promoting business links, would necessitate the relocation of several monuments and some bones. Tarpaulin. The spell cast over me by the princess showed no signs of waning. I spent hours picturing her brushing her hair, putting on and removing her tiara, or just going about her daily business, perhaps buying a big bag of rice at the Chinese supermarket. I'd read of methods to break enchantments, but the days were long this far upriver and needed filling somehow. And where would I find henbane or white vinegar? And where on earth would I find that much tarpaulin? French. I am from a long line of mild-mannered, clean-shaven men, except old Titus, whose portrait hangs in the ancestral gallery, beard full and ragged, eyes afire at the marmalade factory. Old Titus was a terrible man, my mother said, but when the donkey got sick, he carried it to town on his back, and he made flaky pastry so beautifully he might just as well have been French. company. My mind wandered during the séance. I hadn't eaten, and as the glass shook and the room grew cold, I could hear the vats of soup and cauliflower cheese being brought in for the evening meal. Presently, the meringues would arrive, wrapped in blue tissue paper, carried carefully by retainers wearing immaculate white gloves, followed by the huge baguettes, several meters long, slung across the backs of prize-winning oxen. Even the ghosts would turn to observe this spectacle, temporarily setting aside the complaints and quarrels which make them such trying company. And finally, sleep. Our ideal art form does not exist, say the birds, and has not yet even been imagined, but while we wait, we will sing outside your window in the evening. Some birds are real, some birds are made of porcelain. You too are conflicted, say the birds, which is why you have tinnitus in one ear and a different type of tinnitus in the other. High, thin frequency, rumbling ocean. A new art form is what we all need. In the meantime, all we can do is say first one thing and then another until the moon rises clear above the hedgerow and the lanes at last are full of sleep. Thank you.
All right. That was really amazing, Tom. I just love I just love the words, Cabbage King. That was absolutely stunning. Thank you so much. Our next reader is Sandra Doller, who is the author of several books of poetry, prose, translation, and in between, from the most valiant and precarious small presses, Les Fugues, Ashsata, Subito, and Sidebrow Books. Her newest book, Not Now, is forthcoming from Rescue Press. Dollar is the founder of an international library arts journal and independent press, 1913, a journal forms, 1913 press. Where she remains editor-in-chief, publishing poetry, poetics, prose, and all else by emerging and established writers. She lives in the USA for now. She is launching her Above Ground Press debut, I'll Try This Hour, which came out in March 2025. Take it away, Sandra.
Thanks so much, Orchid and Rob and attendant child. Hello. And Tom, that was just so lovely. I hate to fill the space afterwards. I want to keep listening for a bit, but carry on. And yeah, just really happy to be amongst this number. Thank you. Very happy to be launching the chap and the, Baby's First merch t-shirts available. The cover. Thank you, Rob, for inviting my child to do a cover. She's very proud. So she's not listening to these poems. She's in the bathtub, I think. So I'll just, I think, read from, the beginning. I'll try this hour. I'll try this hour to turn this thing another way. They say retire late and keep the cash this time. It's a short step to claustrophobe. I had fear of moon, I read. It said it's uncommon good to run around Miss Mary Astor's. They say Creedence is the best American band, and I am in its pocket now. First of now, a first of May I, Decembered poem in the pile. Movember may be better than June for roasting huck nuts, but soon it's a line like that that will get you kicked out of Johnny B's in a hot March. May I make a suggestion? A pill is not my name. Too bad, she said. Keep driving the car with no hands, and I will surf it, something out of it, serve it up. Good eye sung from the back, loud and clingy. Hear my hymn. Sometimes I can't look at people on TV, the snug faces, black glasses back at me, a needle pointing into this room, a Cody hung on a chair, Sunny faucets, facts on a forehead. I can't bear it up, the watching. Listen, if you don't like what you got, you can sin again against the wing I keep buried. Cover my peepers with your fat buckle so I can't see the newest war, the bear unleashed, the trash-covered weather map I wear. Clear the shelves, he says, saying the mononuclear run-on. I can use this and use that undergarment bag, I think, thinking thin. Planes take on and off again after the rush, pushing one foot into the other time zone. I let the kid make sprinkles in the slush, angels by the needle exchange, by the yard. At least a nickel, a pill will yielding come in, swinging, singing all clear. The tan man sneaks you in the view. I have no exhaustion left. A trill, a minute seeker, miles to go, après du sun. Who says so? I say she can, her mother and I do. Immuno stuff in the left, how unfair are we, how simulant. Someone claimed right, left, you to your own raging ringing. I want to say with that shitty, slutty merman under the sea. Only the credits can make Johnny live again. You lunked up the hill to the extremist museum. We'll no more ravish the tea than we will the Clydesdale, these things thinly swelled. A topper, a passioning hair, this museum makes odds on the future Rivers Rose. I have 35 items in my cart. What is an item, you ask? What is a cart? Boys aren't allowed to look so beautiful. I am liquid and available, she says when she listens to your son playing with her toys without her home. I will buy you anything you want. Just don't. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Live by the snowdrop, wait by the fire. We are cradle to graving it every time we sing. Take my pocket and the kid within it. Strike a match to show your rage. This bumper sticker or that face stamp, we've got you covered in ink, spilled all over the highway in the middle of an island, by the stump in the trench you wear out the inside you wore out. You repeated yourself twice and shook hands with the wrong guy on the right side. We foil ourselves like cartoon bandits. America, are you listening, lingering? Are you so old you just can't anymore? Honeysuckle was her name, a greenhouse on a landmine in an empty town. Who cares about that anymore? 12 times 12 is just something you learned once, like the way I said that in a voice all your own. This must be your month. Over the pipeline, around the creek, past the possum to the empty yard. It's full of people. Slow the prod, slow the slow-mo for the memo hot take. You've got the hot hand, but once a year, so take it. Sit by the river and chew. Those catfish come up for grub every time we shake it, stocked and bottom-fed, a handful of pre-evolutionary scum, like something you call someone at a bar. Take it back, the photo you took at a wedding once, a long driveway where someone else grew up. Boys call it pond fodder, better than none. Chug a chew, hit the brakes, pick a memory. It lives longer. It only works if you're mad. I can't make up some cloud to carry the loud sounds. I took a minute in there. I watered it down. I held my breath, my nose, the handle I shook to see what was left. Everybody has one, because here we are. The steam of that email train was perpetual, and in motion we will not end it, because that's a good one. Everybody turns one on at a time. Trust me, when my pants on, I cannot tell a lie. She painted the faces of all her animals and called them sticky stuck in a tree, belonging there, made to be a shirt monster. This one was born to be one. The others looked at me like, too loud, get back, over here, a goat, small dirt, tiny bear, leafless. These are the words a mother spells with a licking stick. Someday you'll be old. You'll like it. I think that's all. Thanks.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. I was really taken in by the gorgeous, just the gorgeous sound energies in those poems. Thank you. That was incredible. Our next reader is the amazing Rob Mclennan, born in Ottawa, Canada's glorious capital city.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, did I mispronounce it? I'm always mispronouncing.
No, I was sorry. I was talking to her.
Oh,
Okay. I forgot I turned the mic off already.
Oh, perfect. Where he is, oh gosh, now I've lost my place. Where
There's
he
just too much. There's too much.
It's too much. But no, I want to give you some shout out here. He's the author of more than 30 trade books of poetry, fiction, and nonfiction. He won the John Newlove Poetry Award in 2010, the Council of Arts in Ottawa Mid-Career Award in 2014, and was long listed for the CBC Poetry Prize in 2012 and 2017. In 2006, he was inducted into the Inverse Ottawa Hall of Fame, Hall of Honor, and his most I think you've done more books. According to the notes, according to the bio I've got here, it says that your recent poetry titles are A Halt, which is empty, Life Sentence, and the Book of Smaller. But I think you've got something else.
I think I do too. I probably do. Yeah, because I had Snow Day in January, and I've got another one out this fall. I'm leaning into 50 books, I think, at this point.
Oh my gosh. Well, without further ado, let's pass it over to the amazing Rob Mclennan.
Thanks. If you're here listening, you should be listening. Well, otherwise, why are you here? Okay. So I have two little things I might poke at. I find it interesting that this reading sort of accidentally comes together as like prose poem, lyric sentence, prose sentence, however you want to pretend that is the linkage between all of the people reading today. Since January, Chicago poet Benjamin Needs-Podziani, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, has been doing a weekly prompt. And I'm trying to write a poem for every prompt. So it's quite literally, he's like, write a poem in this style and, write a poem about a piece of fruit or write, so I'm trying to do that every week as best I can. And I will just read from some of those. They're numbered by the week. 5. Origin story. My mother said very little. I came gift-wrapped, delivered, an empty chamber. By the waters of Babylon, they had to collect me, entangled form after form. From a stranger's womb, I was nameless, swaddled, between names, frightened shoulders, a wish. They say to descend from steps, from anything, to descend from the moon. I could not explain it. For eternity, my mentions were silence, what all they could offer. A wandering hand. Some tales remain unfinished. A plot line. I emerged from the ash. I came out of the ground. I was formless, formed. I was there suddenly, after having not been. 6. John by the North Atlantic. John stepped onto an island. He stepped off one island and onto another. If any curve or choice or passing glance, if he looked back as he left, he stepped onto a boat. If he held a small bag, a few coins in his pocket, he stepped onto a boat accompanied by his wife and their children. How old were they, then? The silence of all this great noise. There were weeks in these phrases, these sentences. How long between islands? An occasion of coats. The rain, possibly, certainly wind. What if all lands are islands? What if they disappear during a voyage? What was that on his mind? Would they ever see land again? If every eye on the water, does land lose its foundation? Naught but uncertainty under these feet, the only consequence of water. I can lift 10,000 pounds. What these fragments conceal, literality, prior biographical context, even the terror is, deer, coyote, stray dogs, an example of glorious wounds, places everything, sure, cool and distant, an island, look at me, cut off from the world, a book near a pond, all articulation, the river's prosody, corporeal, what dawn is reparable, would you make meme, the very body of language, sleight of hand, slur of speech? Is it true that you have, will prolong, plunges head first, future tense that evolves into elegy? 13. The miracle. Chimera, one is another. What does it seek? The oath in the boathouse, an ocean that swells, a longshore. I might describe flowers, earthware, 3 crows. The blackbird is false. In the nick of time, only, the edge of the desert. Nothing, nothing. I might describe silence. We all know the meadow. Such wrongness is purposeful, philosophical, meandering, hard-hearted, thin. The snow 2 degrees. A soft rain is falling. The blackbird soars, such capital. On wing lifts their lion's head. Sweeps. There's an art. To sleep a vain dream. To be one thing, to be another. To be more than one thing. 15. Little engines. The prompt she offered held an unusual bearing, with pickles and rice. That morning in Paris, I immediately noticed his green eyes, and how terribly bored. 14. The pipers. They stand with their backs, a row of tartan sentries, in which ordered and pristine, pure mental experience, abrupt rumbling. They hold a ridge, a reed, to work the vein of words, to their lips, to the lines above, such truth to this phrase, such skin, a low rumbling fact, a sentence plausible, screech, this hard passing undertow, this stretch of the hand, this pure sound strained, this glossary of bees. You're missing some good stuff. Oh, you're not, eh? Is that because you're not listening or you are listening? Oh, you're watching. Okay, you're watching different stuff. So, and then briefly from another entirely different project I'm working on for about a year and a half. Lainey Brown, American poet, I think she's in Philly, had a book that she every poem is a riff off a particular Rosemary Waldrop poem from a particular book. So each of Brown's poems has a corresponding poem she's riffing off, and she's using a line of Waldrop's as her title for each poem. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of mirror that. So I am doing a project where I am doing a poem corresponding with each of hers, and using the last line of her poems to make my poems, and I'm kind of absorbing and mangling language by Brown and by Waldrop into this. And because I'm working on these two things simultaneously, I think the two projects structurally kind of meeting each other in that sort of prose poem, kind of fragmenty, mangled kind of thing. So there are two books that I don't want to turn into one book, and I don't think should, but they feel like they're meeting. We teach thought to unfold. Are you good?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing. And then a tumbling listen, barcode, an emptying of navigation, parkade, ambition, posture, what Canadian forebears, as thoughts tire, theories, so otherwise slow, clean through bright colors, this light gray car rental, wonder, an engine of function. How far is the ocean? We hold this ground to be self-evident. In Orlando, even the sand is paved, airplanes scattered, light, a veritable blue. One can stretch one's perceptions, alligator, tears, to summon the wetland. There's grace and solace, this most modest form. Time is a bird. Must we abstract everything? The pain absolutes is fierce, fierce. A page can hold two. The musical steps taken to arrive. You wander through futures, confident, unwind or unravel, ludic, the price of public, a story as old, bears repeating, deep as a singer's voice. What would these hills, these grayscales? What is childhood? I wonder sometimes, bears repeating, confident as heat or pollution, a beat, soil investment, bang, bang, the musical pairing of honeybees. Hello, Florida, goodbye, theme park. At airport security, she threw up twice, stopped checking whereabouts, spun around, bears repeating, you national treasure, should that be capitalized, undoes the field, this parting of bones. And one more, bone with sentence rupture. This clean break powdered, representational, biographical machine it reads, what classical elegy, what discomfort, then have I ever, by means of tone, tenor, edge, spills, lick so clearly over the house, salvage, heat pollution, proportion and accident, electrodes, tyrant, carnival, a motion of vessels, a vanishing flame, points, knots, bandwidth, loaf of black bread, coordinates, rather, reduced to unknown, corporeal, articulate space, to the stars you're a match, lit, refract, the moment clings. Thanks. And there's a lot of Florida at the beginning, because I accidentally started this while we were, I was accompanying the young ladies at Disney thing down there in Florida, and I got bored for a day and I just started writing.
It's wonderful. You have such a great way of with syntax. All your sentences all your lines are just always surprising. I'm constantly astonished. Thank you. That was a really fantastic reading. Our next reader is Meredith Quartermain, whose most recent book is Lullabies in the Real World, which was shortlisted for an Alberta Book Publishers Award. Her book Vancouver Walking won a British Columbia Book Award for poetry, and Nightmarker was a finalist for a Vancouver Book Award. She is also the author of 2 novels and 2 books of short fiction, Recipes from the Red Planet, which was a British Columbia Fiction Award finalist, and I, Bartleby. From 2014 to 2016, she served as a poetry mentor in the SFU Writers Studio program. Her work has appeared in the Malahat Review, Prism International, the Dalhousie Review, Event Magazine, the Capilano Review, Golden Handcuff Review, and other magazines. So she's launching Things Musing, which came out in April 2025. Her fourth publication, but first chapbook through the Above Ground Press. And I will post her link, her book in the chat. Take it away, Meredith.
Thank you so much, Orchid, and thank you all. It's just great to hear all your voices. It's so inspiring, and this is actually my most recent book. Is Things Musing. It is a book about having to get rid of 25 years of stuff, moving from a house to a tiny apartment. So I had this very interesting relationship with things all the way through it. I'm just going to read 3 pieces. The first one's called Botanical Key. Cleaning a bottom shelf in the library, I find my undergrad botany key. It was going to become a key to unknown places, a taxonomy of things, undecided, undetermined, categories inside out, hirsute, hiccups, lanceolate legends, rhizomatic ricochets, denticulate, woolly, scaly panicles of infinite senses. Or did I keep it these 44 years on the bottom shelf because it stood for a storehouse of knowledge in a great stone library? Slip the brass key into the subject catalog and open sesame, knowledge and thought to roam in. Foucault undid all that. This botany key, no pure stock of knowledge, just an imperialist tool of oppression. But still, there it is on the bottom shelf, and now I'm 44 years older. Right next to it is the legal factum I wrote for the Delgamuukw land claim case, in which I played an infinitesimal part, then quickly left the law and never returned. That factum was going to become a faculty of facticity. I planned to harness legality in a game of chess, a train of claimless cases. I was going to invent a factificent post-factage. Or had I kept it these 30 years as a marker of accomplishment, a reminder of past achievement, a road not taken? The key and the factum flood me with memories of Steve, my lover. I wanted to be a botanist like him. I hiked the Rockies, dug up fireweed, cow parsley, sow thistle, lupin, pressed them in cardboard, laid them out in the lab. Term ended. I went into English. I met Peter. I took a law degree, became fluent in mens rea, stare decisis, obiter dicta. Steve, too, went into law. In the courthouse library one day, still the irritatingly aloof scientist. The key and the factum, roads not taken, decisions decided, laid down, stood by. Camosun bog, centuries of sphagnum layered deep into the ground, now surfaced with a myriad of other mosses. Light green, ruddy green, sandy, olive. Some with long furry fingers, others with wide arrays of fringes, thick clumps on stumps and old logs. And in amongst these, some blueberries and Labrador tea bushes. Music lesson. Money from grandma, enough for an old upright piano. The tuning was iffy, one of the keys stuck. Still, I amused myself playing sonatinas I'd learned as a kid, pieces from the grade 4 conservatory book learned on pianos in other people's houses, or the Quaker meeting house if no one was around. Pretend you're not listening, I said to my piano teacher, who obligingly went into her kitchen. Oh, the horror of the recital. My face tomato red, my eyes on the floor in front of all those people, my fingers sticky, too fast, too fast. Now at 38, I had my own piano. I could play after work if I had work. I learned the Moonlight Sonata, but dreaded playing for the piano tuner. Peter gave me a brand new piano, shiny black, beautifully toned, no sticky keys. I continued playing, haltingly, mistake-ridden, the Moonlight Sonata, Bach inventions, the grade 6 to 8 conservatory books, even songs by Hoagy Carmichael. I bought a book on practice techniques, Repeat, repeat, repeat. Break down the phrase, repeat part of it, put the parts together, 1 to 2 hours a day. It worked. It really worked. Peter loved hearing me play. He loved having a house where a piano every now and then broke into songs or inventions. He also loved sitting beside me after dinner, watching murder mysteries. And I loved simply being with him. Gradually, the sitting together won. The piano playing lost. I could not take it with me when we moved to a small apartment. But there was still philosophy. I read how the guardians of an ideal city, according to Socrates, must make music, practice the art of the muse, ponder, meditate, reflect, loiter a while, and as the French once said, stay with muzzle in the air. Above all else, tend the soul. You are a lyre of wood and strings. Tune it for the soul to play. So Simmias advised, though Socrates disagreed with him. Yes, I thought, attunement. Find the tunes in things. A bequest. From Robin Blazer's estate, a painting by Madeline Gleason. She of the silver-framed photo on the piano, Gleason, Blazer, Duncan, Spicer, San Francisco Renaissance Symposium. Her painting, a landscape in muddy greens, browns, and grays, brushstrokes clawed across the canvas, crudely drawn figures walking an avenue of awkward trees to a looming windowless building. Were they students heading to lecture halls, the women in skirts and bobby socks? Or were they humanity heading to inevitable darkness in the last rays of a waning day? Why did he leave me that painting and not one of his bright, quirky, fun ones? Was he dying when he gifted it? Thinking this is what it comes to, walk and walk through life, then all before you darkness. Or was he telling me from underground, my writing augured similar gloom from my own crudely drawn figures? Was that what he really thought? We hung the painting across from the couch, but above eye line. For years, I tried not to look at it, not to feel its bale, then gave it away. Why would I not love this last reaching out of Robin to me, God hand to Adam? Perhaps he meant to pass down a mantle, not his mantle, of the renowned public intellect, but Gleason's mantle, of the poet of fine metered verse when meter was on its way out, the mantle of ally and organizer of poetry festivals that ushered in Blazer, Duncan, and Spicer's Renaissance. I then, a handmaiden, gently smiled upon. Ah, Robin. No doubt Gleason was a cherished companion. She was your foremother, a cultural pathfinder for poets. She was a dear friend. You loved her intelligence and her paintings that bode of war times, militarized states, humanity's burden of wrongness. Don't forget her, you say. Don't forget. I wrap your indigo velvet around me, adjust its gold tassels, its heraldic flowers across my chest. I fan out my indigo train and don your velvet hat with its enormous ostrich feather. And I promise and swear with all my heart to remember, remember, remember. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Meredith. That was absolutely mesmerizing. Really, really beautiful. And I'm instinctively drawn to any kinds of botanical references. So I really, really appreciate I really appreciate it. Our next let me just bring up my notes here. Our next reader is Brook Houglum, who published the chapbook Answer a Noise with Above Ground Press in 2024, and that's a really fantastic title. She teaches at Capilano University and lives in Vancouver, British Columbia. And I tried really hard to find the pronunciations for the Coast Salish peoples that you mentioned here, and I couldn't recognize all the words. So I really apologize, but I love these kinds of acknowledgements of the traditional custodians who still make legitimate claims to these lands. She is launching her second above ground press inventory, which I'll post the link in the chat. Take it away, Brooke.
Thank you so much, Orchid and Rob, for organizing this reading. I've really enjoyed hearing everybody read so far. It's fantastic. And I can say, I guess, just since it was included in my bio, that I'm reading on the traditional and unceded lands of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish peoples. So today I'm going to read a couple poems from Anthronoise, and then a couple poems from the more recently launched inventory. And so both chapbooks are coming from a book project that takes up shipping industry, language, and impacts and environments. Okay. Lexicon, blue economy, ocean-based scenario, blue growth, in-depth abundance. Future case, private, industrial, government, opportunity, marine minerals, cobalt-rich aquaculture, global offshore balance, promotion ocean. Logistics, outsource every day, we everywhere forwarding, solve environment, resource control, ship vital positions, rations. Container, where, core, O, pen available, E, twist lock, midlock end, fit, ready, verse toward, things standa, bird, metal any, where, core, O. Underwater noise, killer city, sea economy. Stakeholders look, focus, agree, conservation, collaborative, threat, limit, disturbance, offer tracking, hydrophone habitat, before and after, real time. Oyster toadfish hum to attract mates, warn of threats. Longhorn sculpin growl, groan when feeding or frightened. Haddock rap, knock. Atlantic cod thrum. Plainfish midshipman drum, low growl, rapid grunt train to establish territory, protect a nest, broadcasting so loudly in groups they can be heard on shore. Sand sea trout purr, croak, vibrate sonic muscle against swim bladder at dusk when spawning. Cusk eels dusk chorus in summer spawning season, calls simultaneously, calls overlapping. Boccaccio and rockfish growl in aggression. Marine catfish low squeak. Pacific and Atlantic herring burst pulse, fast repetitive ticks shoaling in the dark. Sea urchins crunch scrape, snapping shrimp clack, mantis shrimp quick rumble. Spiny lobsters scrape, croak, creak, stick and slip, rasp to ward off predators. Short-beaked common dolphins rattle peck, squill. Bottlenose roll, sweeping scree, beam high-frequency clicks. Beaked whales click, train, buzz. Blue whales intone subsonic pulse moan long sound from the North Atlantic, for example, and listen for return sound, for example, from Bermuda. Mink whales boing creaks, humpbacks low trill, call, rise, pierce, blast, fall to guttural juts. Orcas burst pulse, whistle click, sonify. Sperm whales cast sound thousands of kilometers, ultrasound, rapid click, tap, rattle, coda. Okay, and then I'll read a few from Inventory, which is the just recently launched chapbook. And this one kind of takes up an investigation of our accumulation, I guess. Look, you're suspended above or plummeting toward rectangular buildings, arms and legs stretched out, supine. I mean, you're lying on your back in the sky above a city, floating or falling or hovering in fire air, sky vivid golden orange, gold yellow lines scraped in layered paint, diagonal, adjacent, sleeves and pants same purple blue maroons as skyscrapers clustered below. Here is an aerial view. Snapshot. Black and white photograph, Life magazine, August 1955. Model smiling white family, arms stretched out, disposable objects flying through the air, flung across the flame, thrown away, water wings, straws, forks, paper cups for beer and highballs, ashtrays, frozen food containers, all-purpose bucket, diapers, wrappers, round foil pans huge up high in the foreground, airborne metallic TV trays, dog dish, drapes, placemats, popcorn that pops in its own pan, throwaway vases and flowers, hot pads, 2 items for hunters to throw away, disposable goose and duck decoys, tagline, throwaway living, disposable items, cut down household chores, models giddy, products confetti, confetti. Screenshot 2025. Anger room. The anger room is a place where you can bring all of life's frustrations and let loose to your heart's content. The concept is simple. You smash stuff and we take care of the rest. Take a swing at the anger room. It's sure to relieve some stress and put a smile on your face. Exit Canada. It's personal. Bring your $30 own stuff, e.g. bottles, glasses, 10 small items, up to, etc. Angry. 36.19 plus tax, 1 person, 1 basket of glass, where to break 10 items. Pissed off. At scale. And around $10 to and other comp v print ends oot large ix scree and other elect items ron to $100 each. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're not falling. Maybe you're not. Maybe it's a moment in thought. Sky buoys, yellow, ochre, bronze, citrine coming in every crack, lining walls through shades, blinds. That's all.
That was absolutely wonderful. You know, I love the listing and the fragmentation of sound and language. I love poetic cataloging. That was really beautiful. Thank you so much, Brooke. The final reader for tonight is, of course, me. And I'm going to read, this feels really weird, but I'm going to read myself in third person. Orchid Tierney is a poet and scholar from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Her collections include This Abattoir is a College from Calamari Archive and A Year of Misreading the Wildcats from The Operating System. She is the author of several chapbooks, including Looking at the Tiny, Mad Lichen on the Surface of Reading, My Beatrice, which came out from Above Ground Press, Ocean Plastic, and Blue Doors. Tierney is a co-editor of the Routledge Companion to Ecopodics, and her scholarship has appeared in Substance, Jacket 2, the Cambridge Companion to Australian Poetry, Teaching the Literature of Climate Change, and the Cambridge Companion to American Poetry and Politics since 1900. She is a senior editor at the Kenyon Review. And this is the link to Pedagogies for the Planthropocene, which I'm going to read. Oh, it's a little bit blurry. I've got a cat in the background, so I don't really want to unblur myself. But check it out. Let me just grab this. I'm going to start off with a quotation which stakes, I think, the claims that this chapbook makes. The Planthropocene is a call to change the terms of encounter, to make allies with these green beings. And so what I would place under arrest is any assumptions about what is proper to a plant, aeroponic or otherwise. Even as plant scientists reach into the vegetal sensorium for evidence of plant sentience, we do not yet know what a plant wants or what a plant knows. That is from Natasha Mayers from the article From the Anthropocene to the Planthropocene. It's amazing how the sun is a soft structure, a suitor, how the light returns the next day, how systems flourish. The end of a world is a continuance of another, how mice digest owls, a reversal of expectations, how cells gossip with selves, how microbes tangle tiny dramas, how for the bat, a white noise is a mile a minute, how a princess tree is a wind spinner, a leaf is a limb, a bad metaphor, how floronauts demand labor, from horse flies, hummingbirds, possum is a friendly neighbor, is a kind of bee, kind bomb, time bomb, a realtor, a mob. How one colony is much like another. How the wasp trades with the flower. How this meadow is pink or green with lichens, fists of wheat. How repetition is a system. How a stem is a neck craning with seasonal indifference. How the flower bed is a vagrant, an intruder, a network of dirt. How a system is a verb, a noun, and something gross in between. It's amazing how the sun sunders the day, savors sourness of recycled paper, sugar, and astroturf, plastic trees, bark, revenge against old furniture. A rainforest cafe is colonial in feeling, spongy gardens of sink flowers, spin flowers, foxgloves, all year round. Astroturf or sindkin is half a notation of petrobrain. The sun is a soft structure. Hardscaping suitors to suffer is thick anticipation, a kind bomb. Moss in love glass, chinked screen, the metal stem of a rusty lamp craning with indifference. Sockets packed with lichens and similes, littered dirt with awkward poses, repetition in a system. Vegetation ignites, banal communications, microplastics, gossip with salves, even simulacre must distend dainty petals. It's amazing how fires unfurl strange weathers, brown husks carve hills tacky with ash, unseasonal fires every season are a kind bomb. Arson is endless repetition in a hot system. Feedback notations, craven fires like tourists, grousing trees, and lichen with fiery indifference. Another network of dirty looks smoldering, and smoke trees transfer riches to seedlings. All that stump there on the hill defines what healthcare is. A flash fire sprouts too soon, charred roots enjoy such strange world endings. Corpse gray dirt, new earths to grow in. Sunflowers are slow-moving cows of the glebe and gentle observers. Always facing the south, the light within Kin's Basin is brisk and sweet, pleasant. The motion of day to night and all between is a negligible sensation. What matters is the eating and communing of roots. Small dramas are the exchanges of nutrients and bacteria who pass knowledge like carnal letters. Some flowers archive some forgotten pain in the stem down to the root. Hurt brings pleasure without joy. Others tingle as a browning leaf recalls a thickened past without the radiance of language. There's a shared nod between flowers, that history is absurd, the temperature of grief is proof, such matters bacteria share like love letters. It's amazing how the sunlight revives a feeling of day, how cumbrous trees relish a slow morning constitution, how a fire rehabs a slow settlement, how a tree walks is wooden reflection, how wonder replays wonder with an outline of oneself, how a limb is a leaf and a repetition, how rhyme zones are sensory machines and ash is a hungry vagrant, how a welcomed intruder renews discord between wood and trees, guest and host, pest and ghost, bodies redrawn by metallic phantoms, skeletons on the uneven horizon. Truth is a tree. Loneliness releases rejection, enraged wheat. Seasons are a measure of light and images. Slow rot is a kind bomb with microbial dramas and a reversal of expectations. Shot roots stride in real time again and again. It is not enough to live, but we must suffer at scales too fast for the unexceptional to witness. Here, the overstory is a story over. Here, a cathode of light. Through sheaves is old television. Interiorities mean weightlessness. A selection of slime. 4 degrees is cringe dramedy. Rain is pure trolling. For a minute. Here, the skunk cabbage swims like a fish, then deserts like coconut in the heat. The burr birds are living radios, turning brown noise and mercy. A pink flamingo with her leg raised without a signature cries mercy. A light on fins of barren trees. Here, walking torsos define algorithms for love and static. Trees move in herds, however briefly. Here, the temperature of grief is proof. Here, the shy crowns desire remote messaging. Through the untuned radio, whisper mercy. Here, chemical archives leaf surfaces, grafted stems or trunk, scions onto rootstock, small dramas of bodies caught in the trap of constant observation. A promised encounter with incompleteness permits an opening and foreclosure. Unhappy attachments to a question, what is a plant soul? When there is a compression of parts into space, a living figure and passive thought. To soul means to be capable of growth, sugar in the dirt. What does a plant strive after is a constant separation or unity, indecision without exhaustion. Forget digestion, to relate with aliens infers nearness of thought on the brink of death, always uprooted in the dirt. To live radial and dishonest in collective life. What is the point of self-reflection when stockroot and scion are in vibrant disagreement? And I'll read one last poem. How we tend to this end of a world for another. How this death cleaves the fruit into another. How this collapse is much like another. How this grave is agrarian for another. How this corpse finder is an archive for another. How this root in the dirt is sugar for another. How this wet rot is another structure. How this extinction is being home for another. Thank you. Well, that's our reading. I want to sort of thank all our guests, Rob Mclennan, Tom Jenks, Brook Houglum, Meredith Quartermain, Sandra Doller, and myself. And thank you so much, Rob, for just being amazing and publishing these incredible, incredible books.
Well, thank you for taking this on as host and organizer. I appreciate that very much. And it was very exciting to hear all of you read. Yeah, I like the way sort of the variety and the linkages in between. It's always interesting to get just what looks like a group of random people together to read, and then to see how the readings might interact with each other. I always like listening to that. And thank you, especially Tom, because it's after 1 o'clock in the morning where Tom is right now, and he came here to read at midnight. So he deserves a special, special thanks for that. Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Tom, I hope you have a wonderful good night's sleep. For everyone who has a still time in the day, good luck, stay safe wherever you are, and I guess we'll see you on the flip side.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.